Ladies and gentlemen, pain is a peculiar thing. It strikes without warning, often in moments we least expect. It has a way of gripping our hearts, unsettling our minds, and making us question our place in the world. But pain, as difficult as it may seem, is not an enemy. It is a messenger, an invitation to look deeper into the nature of our existence and to rediscover who we truly are. When someone hurts you, the natural instinct is to react, to lash out, to defend, to prove a point. But let me ask you, what does reacting truly accomplish? Does it ease the pain, or does it fan its flames, burning deeper into your being? The first step, the wisest step, is to step back, to breathe, to allow the storm within you to settle. Because in the stillness, clarity begins to emerge. You see, pain demands to be felt, but it does not demand to control you. And here lies the paradox: the more you resist pain, the more it tightens its grip. But when you allow yourself to feel it, to sit with it, to understand it, the pain begins to transform. It becomes less of a weight and more of a mirror, reflecting truths that you may have ignored. Perhaps it shows you where boundaries were crossed or where expectations were unmet. Perhaps it reveals a part of you that craves healing, attention, or growth. When you are hurt, it's easy to blame. They did this to me, you might think. But what if you pause to consider that the person who hurt you is also carrying their own burdens, their own wounds, their own struggles? This doesn't excuse their actions, but it does remind you of their humanity. Hurt people, it is a cycle as old as time. To understand this is not to condone harm, but to approach it with compassion and curiosity. You have a choice in how you respond to pain. You can allow it to harden you, to close you off from the world, or you can use it to grow. Pain, when channeled wisely, becomes a catalyst for transformation. It sharpens your awareness, deepens your understanding, and strengthens your resilience. Like fire to gold, pain refines your character, burning away the unnecessary and leaving only what is essential. But there is one step more, a step that liberates you fully: forgiveness. To forgive is not to forget or to excuse. It is to free yourself from the chains of anger and resentment. It is to say, I will not let this define me. I will not let this hold me. Forgiveness is not a gift you give to the one who hurt you. It is a gift you give to yourself. It is the ultimate act of reclaiming your power, your peace, and your freedom. Pain in its rawest form feels like a wound. But wounds heal, and in their place they leave scars that remind us of our strength, our endurance, and our capacity to love despite it all. So when someone hurts you, remember this pain is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of a deeper understanding, a greater wisdom, and a profound renewal of your spirit. Pain is an inescapable part of the human experience. It threads itself through our lives in moments both small and profound, reminding us of our vulnerabilities and our limitations. But pain, while uncomfortable and often unwelcome, is not a meaningless force. It is a teacher, a guide, and at times a whisper from life itself that we must slow down, pay attention, and learn. When we are hurt, our first reaction is often resistance. We push against the pain, trying to avoid it, numb it, or deny it. We say to ourselves, this shouldn't be happening, as if life owes us an existence free of discomfort. But what if pain is not the enemy? What if it is a necessary part of growth, as essential to our evolution as joy or love? To understand pain is to begin to see it not as an obstacle, but as an opportunity. It is an invitation to look inward, to confront what we often avoid, and to emerge stronger on the other side. Think about the physical body. When you work out, the muscles ache. This pain signals that they are being stretched, broken down, and prepared for growth. The same is true of emotional pain. It is a sign that something within us is being challenged, something is shifting, something is demanding our attention. Pain is not pointless, it is purposeful. It is a wake-up call, urging us to assess where we are, what we need, and how we can grow. Pain also connects us. It is one of the few experiences that every human being shares. It doesn't discriminate based on age, race, or status. In its presence, we are all equal, reminded of our shared humanity. And through that shared humanity, we are given the opportunity to cultivate compassion. When you have suffered, you gain the ability to understand another person's suffering. When you have been broken, you find the strength to help someone else piece themselves back together. Pain, in this way, becomes a bridge, a means of connection rather than separation. But pain is not just about what happens to us, it is also about how we perceive it. So much of our suffering comes from the story we tell ourselves about the pain. We label it as unfair, as unbearable, as undeserved. And while those feelings are valid, they are not the full truth. Pain is neutral until we assign it meaning, and we can choose to assign it a meaning that empowers us rather than diminishes us. Instead of asking, "Why me?" we can ask, "What can this teach me? How can this make me better?" Life, in its wisdom, doesn't waste pain. It uses it to shape us, to mold us, and to prepare us for what lies ahead. If you reflect on your most painful moments, you may see that they were also moments of transformation. They pushed you to let go of what was no longer serving you. They forced you to develop resilience, to tap into courage you didn't know you had, to grow into the person you are meant to become. To understand the nature of pain is to accept that it is not the end, but the beginning. It is the seed from which growth can sprout, the fire that forges strength, and the challenge that awakens wisdom. When you embrace this truth, pain no longer has the power to defeat you. Instead, it becomes a stepping stone, carrying you closer to your fullest potential. It may not feel like it in the moment, but pain, when understood, is one of life's greatest gifts. When pain strikes, our instinct often propels us into immediate action. Anger flares, words fly, and we rush to defend, justify, or retaliate. It feels like the natural thing to do, doesn't it? After all, when we're hurt, the urgency to respond seems overwhelming, as though the faster we act, the quicker we'll regain control. But here's the paradox in reacting instantly. We often lose that very control we're desperate to reclaim. The impulse to act becomes the chain that binds us to the pain itself. Imagine a pond struck by a stone. The surface ripples, distorting the reflection of the world above. This is what happens to our mind when we react without pause. Our thoughts become clouded, our judgments skewed, and our actions more often than not cause further harm. But if we step back, if we allow the water to settle, clarity returns. We can see not just the ripples, but the stone, the source of disturbance, and perhaps even the hand that cast it. This stillness, this act of stepping back, is not weakness, it is wisdom. Stepping back from immediate reaction is not about suppressing your feelings. No, it's about acknowledging them without being controlled by them. It's about creating space between the moment of hurt and the moment of response, a space where reflection and understanding can take root. When someone's words or actions sting, they are often more a reflection of their inner turmoil than of your worth. By pausing, you give yourself the grace to recognize this, to disentangle their pain from your identity, and to decide what response, if any, serves your peace. And what of silence? Silence in moments of anger or pain is often mistaken for defeat. But silence chosen with intention is one of the most powerful tools we possess. It communicates that you are not ruled by the chaos around you. It declares that your peace is not up for negotiation. In the silence, you are not ignoring the hurt, you are mastering it. You are saying, "I will not let this define my state of mind," and in that mastery lies your strength. In this pause, you can reflect on the deeper questions: what am I feeling and why? What part of me is reacting and what does it need? What outcome do I truly desire from this situation? These questions are not easy to ask in the heat of the moment, but they are essential for turning a reaction into a response, because a response, unlike a reaction, is deliberate, it is thoughtful, it aligns with your values and protects your integrity. The power of stepping back also lies in its ability to break cycles. Hurt begets hurt, anger begets anger. But when you step back, you interrupt this cycle. You refuse to perpetuate the chain of negativity. You become a force of transformation, choosing understanding over escalation, peace over provocation. And in doing so, you reclaim your power, the power to act, rather than merely to react. When you step back from immediate reaction, you are not turning away from the pain. You are meeting it on your terms, with clarity, with strength, and with the wisdom to navigate it without losing yourself. You are choosing a path not of resistance, but of resilience, a path that leads not to conflict, but to growth. When we are hurt, the first impulse is often to point a finger, to assign blame, and to demand an answer to the age-old question, why me? It feels natural to want someone to bear the weight of our pain, to take responsibility for the wound we carry. But consider this: what does blame truly accomplish? Does it mend what was broken? Does it bring peace? Or does it instead fuel a cycle of resentment, binding us even tighter to the very pain we long to escape? Seeking understanding rather than blame is not about absolving someone of their actions, it's about liberating yourself. Blame is a trap, a spiral that keeps you tethered to the past. Understanding, on the other hand, is a path forward. It invites you to step back and look at the situation from a broader perspective, to see beyond the immediate hurt and into the deeper dynamics at play. When someone causes harm, it is often a reflection of their own struggles, fears, or insecurities. Hurt people, it's a painful truth, but a truth nonetheless. Imagine for a moment the life of the person who hurt you. What battles might they be fighting? What fears or regrets might they carry in their heart? This is not to excuse their actions, but to recognize that their behavior is often more about them than it is about you. By seeking to understand their story, you shift the focus away from blame and toward empathy. You begin to see them not as an adversary, but as another human being navigating the complexities of life, just as you are. Understanding does not mean you have to agree with what was done or accept it as right. It simply means you are choosing to step out of the role of a victim and into the role of a learner. Every experience, no matter how painful, has something to teach you. Perhaps it teaches you about boundaries where they need to be set or strengthened. Perhaps it teaches you about your own patterns of trust or expectation. Or perhaps it reveals something about the fragility and beauty of your human relationships. But understanding isn't just about the other person, it's also about understanding yourself. Why does this hurt cut so deep? What beliefs or fears is it triggering within you? When you take the time to explore your own emotions, you uncover hidden layers of your own identity. You discover your values, your desires, and even your vulnerabilities. And in that discovery, you gain clarity and strength. Blame keeps you in the shadows, focused on what went wrong. Understanding pulls you into the light, focused on what can be learned and transformed. It is a choice, a courageous choice, to let go of the need for retribution and instead pursue growth. This choice doesn't just heal the wound, it expands your capacity for compassion, wisdom, and resilience. It is through understanding, not blame, that you reclaim your power and find peace. Pain, as uncomfortable as it is, often arrives uninvited, yet it carries within it the seeds of transformation. At first glance, pain feels like an enemy, a force to resist, to escape, to push away. But what if pain is not your adversary? What if pain is a teacher, a guide pointing you toward growth that you would otherwise never seek? The truth is, life's most profound lessons often come wrapped in the guise of hardship, urging us to dig deeper, push further, and emerge stronger. When pain strikes, the initial reaction is often to recoil or wallow in its presence. But sitting in pain without purpose can trap you in a cycle of despair. The difference between being consumed by pain and growing through it lies in your perspective. It's not about denying the hurt or pretending it doesn't exist. Growth begins when you acknowledge the pain and decide to use it as fuel rather than allowing it to extinguish your flame. Pain, when harnessed, becomes a powerful motivator, driving you to reassess, redefine, and recalibrate your path forward. Consider the process of physical exercise. When you push your muscles to their limits, they ache. The pain signals the body to adapt, grow, and strengthen. Emotional and mental pain work the same way. The discomfort you feel is a sign that something within you is being stretched and challenged. It's an invitation to develop resilience, to fortify your mind, and to build a deeper understanding of yourself. Growth does not occur in the absence of struggle, it thrives in the midst of it. Each challenge you face becomes a stepping stone, lifting you to new heights of wisdom and capability. Pain also forces clarity. It strips away illusions, exposing what truly matters. In the throes of difficulty, you are compelled to confront your priorities, your relationships, and even your own identity. The distractions of life fade, and what remains is the raw, unfiltered truth of who you are and what you value. This clarity is a gift, for it allows you to realign your life with purpose and intention. Pain, in its strange way, illuminates the path forward, even if it feels like it's breaking you in the moment. Moreover, the pain you endure often becomes the cornerstone of empathy and connection. When you channel pain into growth, you don't just evolve for yourself, you evolve for others. Your struggles equip you to understand, to comfort, and to inspire those walking similar paths. The wounds you heal become testimonies of hope for those still hurting. In this way, pain not only transforms you, but also amplifies your capacity to impact the world around you. Growth is never a comfortable process, but it is always worthwhile. Pain, while unpleasant, is the fire that forges the strongest steel. It challenges you to rise above, to innovate solutions, and to discover strengths you never knew you possessed. In embracing pain as a catalyst for growth, you not only overcome the hardships of today, but prepare yourself to face the challenges of tomorrow with grace, resilience, and purpose. Forgiveness is a concept that we often hear about but rarely understand fully. It's not just a word or an idea, it's a deep, transformative action. When we are wronged, hurt, or betrayed, our initial impulse is to protect ourselves, to hold on to our pain as if it somehow justifies the injury we've experienced. We may tell ourselves that if we forgive, we are letting the other person off the hook, that they will get away with their actions, and that somehow we'll be left exposed, vulnerable, or weak. But the truth is, the act of holding on to resentment, anger, and unforgiveness only harms you, not them. It is an invisible chain that keeps you tethered to the past, preventing you from moving forward, from healing, and from living freely. Choosing forgiveness is not about excusing someone else's behavior or diminishing the hurt that was caused. It's about reclaiming your own life. It's about taking back your power. Because when you forgive, you are no longer letting someone else's actions dictate your emotional state. You are no longer allowing their mistakes to control your future. You are setting yourself free. Think about it. When you carry the burden of anger, bitterness, or resentment, it weighs on you. It affects your relationships, your health, and your peace of mind. It robs you of the ability to move forward. You stay stuck in a moment that no longer exists, and with every passing day, you remain attached to something that doesn't serve you. In fact, the longer you hold on to unforgiveness, the more it festers inside of you. It becomes a poison that taints everything in your life. You can't experience joy fully because a part of you is trapped in the hurt. You can't embrace the future because you're holding tightly to the past. But forgiveness changes all of that. It shifts the balance back into your hands. It's not about forgetting or pretending the pain never existed. It's about choosing to no longer let that pain dictate your life. Forgiveness gives you the space to breathe again, to let go of the weight you've been carrying. It doesn't mean you condone what happened. It doesn't mean you allow the person who hurt you back into your life. But it means you are willing to free yourself from the shackles of anger and bitterness. You choose freedom over confinement. Forgiveness is a gift, but it's not just a gift you give to the person who wronged you. It's a gift you give to yourself. It's the gift of healing, of peace, of opening your heart to new possibilities. You see, when you forgive, you create room for new things to enter your life. You make space for love, for hope, for success, and for inner peace. By letting go of old grudges and resentments, you clear the path for your own personal growth. You stop allowing the past to define you. You begin to rewrite your story, not from a place of hurt, but from a place of strength, wisdom, and freedom. Understand that forgiveness is not a one-time act, it's a daily practice. It's something that requires you to continually choose to let go of the anger, the resentment, and the need for revenge. It's a choice that empowers you to stand tall, to be the bigger person, and to walk away from negativity with your head held high. And as you choose forgiveness over and over again, you'll notice a shift in how you see the world, how you see yourself, and how you interact with others. You'll begin to see that every act of forgiveness is an act of self-love, an affirmation that you are worthy of peace, and that you have the power to create your own happiness. When you forgive, you allow yourself to be free, free from the weight of the past, free from the emotional baggage that's been holding you back, free to love again, to trust again, to dream again. Forgiveness is not a weakness, it is the ultimate form of strength. It is a powerful choice to take control of your own life, to choose your peace, and to move forward with grace, dignity, and wisdom. The road may be long, and the journey may not be easy, but the reward is priceless freedom. And when you choose forgiveness, you choose freedom for yourself and for the future that awaits you. In the grand tapestry of life, pain is not the thread that unravels us, it is the one that binds our greatest lessons, strength, and resilience together. When someone hurts you, it is tempting to let bitterness take root or to let despair become your companion. But remember, pain is not the final chapter, unless you choose to let it be. It is a passage, a teacher, a force that can propel you to grow into someone stronger, wiser, and more compassionate than before. Let the hurt inspire reflection, not retaliation. Let it cultivate understanding, not resentment. When you channel your pain into growth, you take control of your story and transform hardship into healing. In doing so, you not only uplift yourself but also become a source of light for others navigating their own storms. So when life wounds you, lean into the discomfort with courage. Use it to fuel your growth, shape your character, and deepen your humanity. Pain may visit, but it does not have to stay. And as you rise above it, you'll discover a profound truth: you are stronger than you imagined, wiser than you realized, and capable of turning every hurt into a stepping stone toward your greatest self.